Sorry for being a couple minutes late here. It's 6:51. Let's call our public hearing to order here, July 10, 2024 at 6:51. Roll call, please.
Owen Costanza.
Here.
Dan Cheek.
Here.
Austin Davies.
Here.
Bruce Moore.
Here.
Betsy Straw. Here. Jeff Goings.
Here.
Don Sattler.
Here.
Carrie Lynn Crawford. Karina Boyd.
Yeah, right. I guess we're not doing a
Pledge is next.
pledge. Okay. All right.
Let's do the pledge.
All right. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We don't have it on the agenda, but we'll do it. Hi. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda for the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Owen. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Tonight's public hearing agenda is approved. We have a motion to convene the public hearing, fiscal year 2025 annual budget appropriations.
Move to convene the fiscal year 2025 annual budget appropriations.
All right, got a motion by Owen.
Second.
And a second by Dan. And those in, I guess, we don't,
We're open at
We are-
6:53.
there we go. All right, if there is, moving on to any public comment here, do we get any public comment forms? And we will stay open for a period of time. No? All right, is there anything we need to?
Can I just say, if anyone had any questions about our budget, I'd like to speak about it, any of our spending, what's in the budget, any questions, you can fill out a sheet, and Karina's here, our treasurer. She can probably answer some of the questions for you. We have 15 minutes for this hearing, so if you'd like to ask anything, please feel free to.
Miss Judy has a question.
All right. Come on down.
I didn't need you to use the mic only because of the
Mike's
recording.
not there.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's laying down.
Good evening. So I've been watching carefully how the budget and the money has been spent the last couple of years. Concerned about the latest proposal, and I guess my comment isn't a comment, it's a question. There is substantial being put forward toward hiring another person. I'm wondering if you could answer why. Why is there a need to hire somebody?
All right, there's several reasons for that. Number one is general organizational structure for a small village our size. I just posted on my president's Facebook page what an organizational structure would be. You generally have the citizens up at the top, you have the village president and the board here, and then off to the side you have the clerk, and then right below the trustees and right below the president is a village administrator. And then below the village administrator you have your different departments, and depending upon the size of your village, you'll have different ones. In our village, we're pretty small, so you got public works, and then you'll have a treasurer, and then you'll have building code and other administrative things in the office. So the village administrator, everything tends to revolve around the village administrator, and that was the organizational structure that was years ago, and that was eliminated. And so in order for a series of checks and balances to be an organization, the elected officials generally don't involve themselves in the daily operations. The trustees and the village president are the ones that oversee the budgets and ask the difficult questions. And the village administrator is the one that supervises and enforces those things. And that's the reason why that organizational structure is chosen by many, many villages. And if you take a look at my Facebook page, you'll see an example of that. And there's hundreds of variations. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Now, where are you getting your numbers from? Where are you getting your numbers from? No, I had a question for you. Where are you getting your numbers from? That is not in the budget that's on Facebook. What is being proposed right now is interviewing and looking at potential candidates. And the amount of a village administrator can depend upon the size of the community. If you look at them around the Chicagoland area, you could be probably $250,000 for some of them. But if you look at around out here, they're anywhere from $70,000 to $150,000. So, that's why I asked you, where are you getting your numbers from? There's not a... Do you know who is acting as village administrator for our village for a long time? Well, if this is not going to be a two-way conversation, I don't find any reason. The village was being administered by dual roles in the past. And there wasn't a system of checks and balances.
Let me answer her
And are you,
question.
hold
on.
not yet.
Let's not argue with the residents. Let me just have, there's a proposed budget of $120,000. Does not include benefits. We pay IMRF, payroll taxes, and health and welfare, dental vision. So we don't know what the health and welfare will cost. Depends on the size of the family, yada, yada, yada. What the village would pay and what the administrator would contribute. I don't know what the proposal is. We don't have a proposal letter, but that's what's actually in the budget is $120,000 plus benefits. Plus benefits. That could go, my guess is $20,000 to $40,000 on top of that. If that's what they accepted, if that's what's offered, but their pay would be negotiable. In my opinion, it sounds like we're looking for a part-time one. I'm not sure. My recommendation was that we brought in a consulting firm, had them work with the office staff, have them come back to us at a lot less money, make recommendations, but that was unseen. So, wasn't going to go anywhere.
The board didn't take that option.
The board didn't take that option. The board. The entire board.
The majority of the board.
Majority. They want to go the route of village administration. Of what? We didn't pursue it because there was no need for it. But
That has been done in the past. Chris, I think you worked here when we did that. We brought in Sickage and they went through, I think it was $10,000 or $12,000, but they streamlined everything.
Made recommendations. We had a book of recommendations. They brought it from 20-some recommendations. Now we're down to like 4. Leadership is a key role in the village. You gotta have leadership. Without leadership, things can run wild. Things cannot be seen. Checks and balances aren't made. Not just with accounting, with other factors throughout the village. So it's very important. We don't have a village administrator. We've had them twice. Both were gone. They weren't forced out. If they're willing to accept that, if what's offered. We don't know what's offered. We don't know. There's not been a lot of information shared amongst us. Well, here's an idea just for you. $210,000 higher budget this year for salaries than last year. If we hire them. What's that?
It was from last year to this year's
This is
forecasted, well, the salary, went from 238, 245 to 448, 365. A substantial jump.
Hopefully we don't lose any employees that we have now with the hiring. But to my knowledge is no, there's no money for it. But Karina, would you like to speak? Yes.
And is
Anything
that
over
number,
1,000
is
hours.
that number in the 400,000? It is.
We don't know what the village administrator is gonna cost yet. That's correct.
That I was not sure. I knew we were doing it for the last couple of years.
was.
I didn't know if she was still entertaining it.
Karina can answer.
Yeah, that's a great. Did you say that was in last year's budget too? Yes. Yeah, so it's still like a $210,000 jump from last year.
That's basically one of the roles an experienced village administrator would be able to assist with. And in the past, we had village administrative duties being done by a lot by our village attorney. So there was a lot of overlap by everybody. And to break these responsibilities out creates also a series of checks and balances.
I would disagree with the village attorney was doing the administrator's job. I don't know where you got that from. That was help with that. Everybody's help with you. We had a part-time treasurer at the time, and 3 girls up front,
In a part-time,
and a part-time.
yeah, Ronnie was part-time, then became full.
And we had one less public works employee, I believe, too.
No, we've always had 4, and then we have a seasonal one that we hire. We always had 4 public works, and,
Four
I thought-
full-time guys, one part-time lower.
and 12 years ago, we had 12 public works guys because we were running our sewer plants ourselves. And we outsourced that.
That's now outsourced
Mhm.
by their own staff. So this person's gonna oversee 2 department heads, 3 office girls, 4 collective bargaining. It's their union, public works guys are union, part-time. I'm not. Well, it's 8 people in 2 departments.
And the budget, accounting, the policies and procedures.
So a part-time person's going to make more than any single person that works here for the village of Poplar Grove and tell them what to do and be their boss. Going to really help morale that's already down.
Oh, yes, a lot of things have been. All of our continuing education training has been cut. It was cut by the, who said cut it? Don had to take it out. I'll blame him. He's the one that wanted it out. I can show the emails for that. In public meeting also, it went from how much was the clerks? Training for like us, all of us, everyone, staff. We have, hold on, let me finish. We get to go, we have the option. I've been here, this is my 13th year, I've never made it to IML. But the Illinois Municipal League, they put on a big training week down in Chicago. Unfortunately, my job doesn't allow me to take off time to go do that. So I I have never been attended that, so let's say 13 years, they take $2,000 a person, average. Good call, Karina. What's the average cost for a trustee to go to IML? About 2,000, so there's that. The clerk's budget is now down to $500, and it was previously for them to do training, her and Katie, correct? And it was previously, last year was what? 7,000. Yes. So the IML went 2,000 per person, now it's only $1,000. This budget's in the budget. Public Works, Frank, what's Public Works now for training? Very little, but we, you know, in order to spray the parks with chemicals and things like that, they have to be certified, they have to be licensed.
There is no cost benefit for spending $10,000-$12,000 to send elected officials down to Chicago to eat, drink, and be merry. And that's what I thought was completely
Lie. Alcohol
unnecessary.
is not paid for by the village, and those classes.
That is
you never
not
know
what I said. That is not what I said.
Drink and be
Eat, drink,
merry.
and be merry.
And that's where you meet
The
people.
pictures
That's where
that
you
I see
find-
online of you guys smiling and mugging and having a good old time down there,
Yeah.
there is not any cost benefit. I've not seen any report of the benefit to the village of spending that kind of money. You invest $10,000 in your junket to Chicago, and what do we have to show for it?
Christie wrote
Nothing.
a very comprehensive summary of what we learned.
Call a point of order.
Point all you want.
This is for public comment only. The speaker has to be at the microphone, and they can't give any other speaker their time.
We are all
Just
part of the public
proceed
here.
With public comment.
I agree. This
all
is
taxpayers.
degenerating into an argument here, so. Well, we got, did you fill out a form?
You want to do yours because it's on the next agenda? Yeah, yeah. His question's on the next agenda.
All right. Everybody else is interrupting. Kind of how we operate around here. What's that?
No.
The salaries of the elected officials were just reduced back and then some in order to afford the village administrator on a full-time or a part-time basis.
That barely made $15,000.
That's
do
the way
have two chairs
that's the way the
oversee.
organizational structure was back years ago.
We'd have to create a committee.
That
a
would be
subcommittee,
interesting.
Public subcommittee.
But like Jeff's the finance and public works, he oversees public works. Mr. Costanza's admin chairman, he oversees staff.
We would,
So the chair people do
We used to have many ad hoc committees.
have oversight.
Many people volunteering. A lot of people sitting in this room have been on those committees.
Chrissy she started a parks
Communications committee.
communications
Before
committee,
COVID.
which still resides. Betsy, Austin.
What am I agreeing to? I don't understand what you're, am I agreeing to $200,000?
I think I need to kind of call a little bit of order to this, back to Austin's motion here,
Shut you down now.
that this is really just supposed to be public comment.
These are the people that we represent. These are the people that elect us, Tom, that vote for us. So I think they should have open. Yeah. Some of us follow it, some don't.
This is all your tax dollars.
Okay, I've said my piece. I'll sit back and I'll let, if that's the way you want to conduct the meeting,
Well, you should let
I-
the people speak.
I agree, but in some aspects, they gotta, I tell you
You're the
what,
president, man, you're supposed to be running.
hey, how many minutes? Hey, take,
Mr. President, before,
yes, you may.
I would move to close public hearing if there are no more public comments.
I will,
We have a motion on.
hold on, before we move the motion, I make one suggestion that we organize this public comment, because public comment is typically, under the rules, limited to 5 minutes per person. And so because we're getting comments from the audience that we're just shutting you down, it's because we have disorganized argument going on. If you would like to have 5 minutes to discuss, I'm not even going to worry about whether you fill out anything. Why don't you start right over here? You got 5 minutes on the floor, and we'll time you. You got 5 minutes, and then we'll move right along the line, and everybody's got 5 minutes in this room, and if it takes us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and if it takes us an hour to get through, let's just do it, because we're not shutting anybody down. You got your opportunity to speak right now, but we're not here to argue, and,
Mr. President,
yes.
I don't know all these people, so I would like them to speak. If they're going to speak, I think they should fill out a piece of paper.
I agree.
Make it record for Carrie and say where they live and say their name. Anybody that speaks, I think, should have to do that.
That would make sense.
They're not required to provide their addresses or where they.
Well, on the form, they don't have to announce it if they don't want to for a reason of safety according to OMA. But on the form, you need to fill it out. So anybody that wants to speak for these 5 minutes, please grab a form according to the rules, and let's do this in a systematic and orderly way.
We probably should also clarify, though, public comment gives you the ability to speak before the board and address the board. It's not public interrogation or questions, and they don't have to respond to questions. I think that might be part of what some of the confusion here is. So the Open Meetings Act says that they have to give the ability to the public to address concerns to the boards and comments to the board. So I think that's part of it. There's like questions, well, why aren't people answering the questions? That's not the role of what's supposed to happen during public comment.
But is it illegal for us to answer questions to the best of our ability if the people that can answer the questions are sitting here in the room?
If people want to answer the questions, they have the ability to.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, Christie.
Hello, Christie.
Please. Does it work?
It's terrible. Yeah. It was working a minute ago.
Put it back.
Is the switch on the bottom or something? I don't know, it's in a hidden spot.
Rita, does yours work?
Jeff, give her your mic.
Does ours work?
Yeah, that's
Yep.
All right.
Yo.
For the record, Christy Richardson. Board all knows me pretty much. I actually just have a quick question on the budget. I'm not going to refer to the other issues that have already been brought to light here. But I would like to ask, I know on the May 19th meeting, there was discussion at the end of that budget workshop meeting for community event in reference to the tree lighting ceremony and for the Neighbors Fest. Trustee Straw had brought it up. It sounded as though Trustee Goins was going to ask Karina to put it into the budget. I did not see anything in Department 55 as those to be line items. So I'm actually...
They're not line items, they're under operations. But they are in there.
So, what an interesting place to put two specific events. Right, but there is a community events line. Why would you not segregate them out so that you could see them? Okay, that's fine, just for clarification. So those numbers are buried in those two. Just wanted to make sure that they were
And
accounted
I
for.
think we had discussions, Karina, about actually scripting those out under those sub-accounts. That we were
That's what
gonna
I
ask
thought that
BSNA to do that.
trustees
But
Goings
unfortunately-
had.
Yeah, Christie, after the last budget gathering we had and all the changes were made, and Dan and I had no idea that this even got published. So it never came back to us after the last meeting.
Well, that was what I wanted to ask, because I didn't see those numbers, and I know that was part of the discussion, so.
Do you want to know the number? Yeah,
No, I remember as part of that discussion, the numbers came back, we were adding them all up, all the expenses, and so on and so forth. So I just didn't see them, and I think that's a difficult place for other people in the community to be able to find them. I would encourage an easier way to make that a little more transparent, since we all like that word very well, so that it's easier for residents to be able to digest the information that's presented in these types of documents. So,
And Jeff, you're the finance chair. Can you explain what GAP is and how it affects and why it affects that?
Go ahead, Betsy.
No, I'm asking.
No, I can't explain it.
Okay, Karina, can you explain exactly, just using the word GAP doesn't help anybody. Can I ask one more question? The GAP doesn't specifically say that you can't have sub-accounts or children accounts, which is, I think, what Christie's getting at. GAP says they roll up. So,
Our accounting software does not have those types of subsidiaries.
so there's no parent-child, is what you're saying. Okay, so that explains that a little bit better.
so then my suggestion then at some point would be that in the future, when you're producing documents like this, it would be nice to have some other reference document that would basically tell you in general what goes into that particular account. So instead of me having to come up here and ask you, I could look at that and be like, oh, in this account, we know that these community events are being, and then provide that as well to the community so that they can be able to understand what type of expenses are actually being accounted in them. And one of the other ones is for salaries. I know in the past we have staff people that have dual roles, and we account them in multiple salary accounts. So one person might be in streets, one might be in parks, one might be in water and sewer, because that's where they do the billing. But our residents don't get to see how that's broken up or understand that necessarily. And that would be beneficial, I think, as something. So my food for
As well
thought.
as the village administrator will be able to pay by each department, parks, water and sewer, administration.
Thanks, Christie.
Thank you, Christie.
Elizabeth Brinkley, sorry.
Is it on?
It is.
Is it on? Okay.
Go ahead.
My name's Elizabeth Brinkley. I've lived in this village since 2011. I have 4 young children, all four playing games in 3 different towns, Capron, Poplar Grove, and Belvedere. Tonight, 6, 6:30, and 7:30, 2 of which are the last games of the season for these kiddos. I got here a little late, but what I can say is it is a concern of me as a resident of this village, the way that these meetings go on, and the fact that we were 30 minutes into this public hearing, because I looked at my watch. If it started right at 6:45, which I don't know because I wasn't here, the fact that we were 30 minutes in before there was a call to order that hey, this is not how it's supposed to be going, just really speaks to the total dysfunction of this board and these meetings. I've come to these meetings before. They are painful. They are painful to watch, but at the same time, something has to change. I've got 4 young children who love living in this community, but thank goodness they don't know what goes on here. And I'm scared for the future of Poplar Grove. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's the end of our public comment. All right, thank you very much. We're trying to organize this, so we have a motion on the floor to call a question or to close the hearing, I believe.
Second.
We got a second by Betsy. Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? All right, we have several abstentions. I hear a couple of ayes, so the meeting is closed. And it is,
We need to adjourn now. Close the public hearing.
we need the
Now you-
motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Austin,
Second.
second by Betsy. Those in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Against? All right, we are adjourned at 7:23 PM Wednesday. All right?
The hearing, now we gotta close that out. Yeah, so whenever we have a public hearing, we have to adjourn that, just like. It's not against municipal law, like, you have the right to respond. It's just not a requirement. And like I was saying, so on a hearing, you have to close and then adjourn a hearing, and then you have to re-adjourn into this. And then, yeah, and then even like, so we have to go out of public and go into executive, and then we gotta go back out and re-adjourn into public. Yeah, it's gonna be in and out a couple times a night, but usually it's only for hearings, board meetings, and then it's closed session to open session. Cool. So you're in and out, but you gotta do that process in each one because there has to be a timestamp on the recordings and everything for each section, I guess. Appreciate it. Thank you. You have to switch things too. One from different sessions. All sitting on there usually. Gotcha. My first meeting. You have the date of my first meeting. I got it at the house. Yeah, I think it was middle of May. Either the second or first. Okay, gotcha. So I was at that meeting. You were here for both Junes. I think you're only here for one. Yeah, the second. 200,000. James.
You're welcome to have a seat if you would like. You don't have to stand the whole time.
That's just a lot of software too. It's all in one program, so you gotta there's no pages. There's like this salaries for that, it's a summary. There's other ways to break down everybody's salary. I don't know. I'm not either. But I mean, anybody's capable of going in there and bringing up a spreadsheet. Not like it's not public access.
Do I need to call 911, Mr. Vondansky? Do I need to get the sheriff here right now? You're Mr. Gieske. I can't tell you guys apart. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Do I need to call a sheriff? I'll call a sheriff right now.
Why?
We'll get him here.
What happened?
What is going
What happened?
on?
Yes, Poplar Grove Village Hall. I have Tom Gieske up here. He just walked into the meeting hostile and flipped me off and started yelling at me. We have a potential hostility by him up here.
He lies.
This is the village president of Poplar Grove. My name is Don Sattler. Don Sattler. I'm the village president of Poplar Grove. Tom is still in here right now, and we are trying to conduct a meeting, and he's being disruptive. I hope he doesn't have any weapons, but he just presented himself and walked up and flipped me the bird. Okay, thank you very much. You can tell it to the deputy when the deputy gets here.
It's recording, so.
What's that? Yes. Let's call the meeting to order.
Something. You gotta give me a minute. Here you go.
All right. It is 7:32, July 10. We are calling our regular Village Board of Trustees meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Betsy Straw.
Here. Jeff Goings.
Here.
Bruce Moore.
Here.
Dan Cheek.
Here.
Owen Costanza.
Here.
Austin Davies.
Here.
Don Sattler.
Here.
Carrie Lynn.
Crafterford, here.
Crafterford. Sorry. Karina Boyd. What is going on?
Did we get everyone? All right. Pledge allegiance, please. No phone participation tonight. Do we got a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Motion by Owen.
Second it.
And a second by Bruce.
Yes.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Tonight's agenda is approved. Moving on to, let's see, approval of minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the Special Village Trustee Board minutes from June 5th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Owen. Those in any comment on that? If not, those in favor to approve June 5 meetings, say aye.
Aye.
Those against? All right, June 5 meeting minutes is approved. We got a motion to approve the Board of Trustee meeting minutes from June 12, 2024.
Move to approve minutes from June 12th, 2024.
Motion by Owen,
Second.
and a second by Dan. Any comments on that? All right, those in favor to approve June 12 meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those against? The June 12 meeting minutes is approved. Moving on to public comment. You got a few public comments still?
Yes.
All right, let's try to see if we can conduct this a little early.
Andrew Ritz. I hope I said that right.
Is that the bad one?
No.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, my name is Andrew Ritz. I've lived in Woodstock Poplar Grove for 19 years. I apologize, it's stuck in my head because it's where I was employed. I just retired as a law enforcement officer of 20 years. So I'm familiar with government, and sometimes things they spend money on, they should reconsider. I come from a small village. I was raised in a small village of about 3,500 people. We had a mayor. We did not have a village administrator, and it seemed to run perfectly. I know because I worked for that village for 3.5 years, and it was a wonderful village to work for. We did not need a village administrator. I don't know the circumstances here myself, but I don't agree with the hiring of a village administrator. The city I did work in had 30,000 residents, had 25,000 to 30,000 residents. We do have a village administrator. Things run smoothly there. Does a great job. I appreciate what he does. He's always been there for us as law enforcement officers. Recently, the city has hired 3 executive directors. Those positions were not needed. Those positions were at least $150,000 to $200,000 apiece to our village. Now, our village can afford that. Not our village. The village I work for could afford that. But the animosity it created amongst the other employees there was outstanding. Everyone cannot understand why they were paying 3 people at least $150,000, if not $200,000 a year for positions that weren't needed. Didn't make sense. The directors they had doing those jobs were doing a fine job, but somehow they feel they needed an administrative director or an executive director there. Please reconsider what you're doing with the village administrator. We're a small town. We'd like to stay small. We don't want to grow too big. That's my motto. I think this town is beautiful. This is where I want to retire permanently. This is where I want to stay. Please watch the money you're spending on positions here. We can get by. I know you want checks and balances. I understand that. But the checks and balances should be with the board as well. I know you reduced your salary. Please train your employees, even if it's the members on this board. It is important for them to be up to date with their training. I cannot tell you how much as a police officer it was important for me to be trained on a regular basis I had to be required by law to train all the time. Matter of fact, it's now state mandated. So please reconsider having a village administrator. Even if you hire one full-time at $100,000, you're looking at capping out another $40,000 to $50,000 in benefits on top of that. I know that. When I retired, I made $110,000 as a police officer. With my benefits package, I wound up $167,000, and it was broke down into benefits. Now, I didn't make $167,000, but that was with my benefits. So if you're hiring someone for a village administrator, you're going to pay their benefits, you're paying a lot more than just their salary. Yes, you're going to get some benefits from them being here, but please reconsider this. I do not agree with it, but then again, I'm not the one making the decision. You are. Please think about our future in this village.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
I have Dave. I cannot read your writing. I don't. Right? Richard.
Thank you.
This board always used to come together to help everybody here in the office, as well as the community.
All right, that concludes our public comment. Moving on to new business. We have a motion to discuss and possible action on ordinance 2024-15, an ordinance appropriating for all corporate purposes for the Village of Poplar Grove, Illinois, for the fiscal year commencing on the first day of May 2024 and ending on the 30th day of April 2025, fiscal year 2025.
So moved.
A motion by Owen, Austin, sorry about that.
Second.
And a second by Owen. All right. Well, we all were kind of discussing the budget. We've already had a couple of meetings. Is there any further discussion on the fiscal year 2025 budget?
Yes. Go ahead, Jeff.
To it.
No, you go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead, Jeff.
like the gentleman just said, I think we should add some training back into our budget for our employees, for our clerks department, and for our trustees. My opinion, we're gonna waste a lot of money. The village administrator position is only good to the term of the village president. We have about 9.5 months left of this term, so this person could be extinguished at the next election. To me, it doesn't make sense. We haven't had one for 5 years, 6 years. We've been okay. Yes, the board is a little dysfunctional. That happened back in 2000. So it is what it is, and we try to deal with it. Unfortunately, can't support this. Can't even, so I don't even want to vote for the budget. It's a lot of wasted money. We have a lot of capital improvements with our water, wastewater coming up. And I don't think that information is being put out like it should. But there's a lot of improvements. Our facilities are running on Windows 7. We need to upgrade SCADA. It's old. We did $16,000 or $18,000, or I don't even remember what it was in 2016. It was a patch job, basically. Chris, you were here. No, maybe not, but we did a patch job back then. But, it needs to be upgraded. There's a lot of things that we could spend this 120 that's budgeted, plus benefits, another possible 30, 40, whatever it is. There's things that I would like to see. If I was sitting on that side, I would be complaining as well. So I would like to see money spent on things that I know that we're going to need. There's a lot of things that need to be done in our village. And unfortunately, I don't support our budget, nor do I support village administrator. And if you would like to come back and redo the budget, give us some Training, I saved you $26,000 over the last 13 years. I didn't participate, I can't. But it's fair to the other people. Christie raved about how much he learned. Dan raved about how much he learned when he went. Owen raves about how much he learns. The clerk tells us how much she learns when she goes for training. She reports to us, she tells us. So I think we really need to look at this before we approve it. We've had people here tonight. I haven't really heard anyone in favor of a village administrator. I got some emails, I got some texts saying no. I didn't get any positive feedback. I'm not gonna go say that, but I'm sorry, but I feel like we're doing the wrong thing as a board. That's my discussion.
You had something to add on?
Yes. So first and foremost, if anybody noticed, this is the fiscal year budget starting May 1st. So the first time in over a decade since I've been involved with the village, have we passed a budget this late. That was just due to no knowledge of how our things work. This budget, like Jeff said, cuts our training. Our village staff all came to us a few months back and said, hey, we're not being paid what other villages are. So we tasked them all with going and putting spreadsheets together. Christy was on the board at the time. She put a nice spreadsheet together that indeed, they were underpaid. But we thanked them with a 3% raise. Said they should be happy that they got that, because not a lot of people got that. In fact, discussion had went on that their benefits package was too generous. So we've shifted a lot of money around and made a lot of cuts to just fund things like a forensic audit that we don't need. So I'll be voting no on this budget for the first time ever. We have to have a budget, but this never came back to us. A few of us had no idea this got published. Normally it comes back before it goes published, and we all, yep, no, yeah, that never came back. But it didn't matter anyway, because the majority of the vote has the votes. So.
Yes, Dave.
Just for point of information, the SCADA that Jeff was just talking about, that is the monitor system for the wastewater plants. That controls, that's all your controls, your call-outs, everything's failing. It's in dire need, and as far as I'm concerned, that pulls rank. I'm sure nobody wants sewer coming up in their basement. I feel if this system fails, it could be catastrophic to the residents. And I think that should be funded prior to anything else before the wastewater plants. As I was told when I first came, when I was on planning and zoning, they are our biggest asset, but yes, they're our biggest liability. And this, is my eyes, is making them very liable, leaving them outdated, and moving that money around somewhere else.
Can I ask you a question then? How come this is the first I've heard of that?
I talked about
We
it the
talked
last,
about the 60,000, and we put the 60,000 in the budget for the windows upgrade.
it was 150, the one I talked about it that one time. I said, oh, to get moved over to the next year.
It is.
And then that was at
We
150.
asked that it be put in.
We did discuss it.
Mr. Saller just had a meeting with the company in Adam at the North Plant. Maybe he could clue us in a little bit on it. He should be knowledgeable about it.
Karina,
The extra 60,000 we thought we were going to get from the county or not? It was included all of their taxes. So I have 60 on both sides. All we have 30. We have no extra 1,000 for the.
it was 90 originally at one point in
Because
time.
the county's letter, it wasn't just for the our portion, it was for all of the taxes. So they were not, screwing up the 2 years that we've been.
So then, shouldn't we have been notified of that?
Exactly.
It was
I mean, why are we just hearing about this now?
Zero effect to the budget, and I'm discussing it here today when we're approving the budget.
So what do you mean it's zero effect? What do you mean by that?
There's no effect on the bottom line on the budget. We have those 60,000 in and 60,000.
I think they sent the entire force.
But we do have this dollar amount in the budget to fix the system that they're talking about.
No, we don't.
Okay, so you took that out.
Next
recall talking about it the last 2 meetings we had.
Yeah.
And I don't recall putting a dollar number on it, because we didn't know, but I said we need to have this at priority, and Don said, I hope it doesn't fail.
Right, and that's why we said, let's put this other 60,000 in, because she hadn't put it in as revenue.
Yeah, the
And I
rough-
said we should put it in as revenue.
Yeah, that, I don't recall, I don't remember that part, so, but yeah, I don't know what that 60 was,
I just
but.
got the notification, from the county that it was not correct.
So you just got the notification from the county that it wasn't correct. Okay. So it's not in here, and Dan, you're saying it's how much now?
I thought when it was originally brought up, it was 150 for the update, all the way
The whole
across.
thing, yeah.
That's the number I remember seeing.
But
the last budget we discussed.
There was a number of 60,000 originally that was put in that we talked about.
Well, that was the over for county, I remember that. That was for, that's, isn't that the water tie-in? Isn't that the water tie-in, special use permit, that the 60 was supposed to come from? Yeah, that was, that's supposed to be coming every year, and I know that county was screwed up a couple times, but that was, yeah, it was a line item for next fiscal year, and I could have swore it said 150.
Correct. We have it for next fiscal year in our capital improvement for
150, okay. So we have it in there for that. So that's that Windows upgrade, correct?
That's not just a window.
It's not just that,
No, it's gonna
but there
be
was
more.
also some motors that were going to be done.
Yeah, about 300,000 is what I
There's
was.
some
Okay.
pumps and stuff that needs to be
Pumps,
replaced.
yeah, and the pumps
70
were
or
going to be
80.
done this year because they're not for next year, correct?
The pumps are gonna be needed when they break. We have
Right.
them anytime.
We
So
don't
are they-
stock extra pumps because of the
Are they
break.
in it, in the budget?
Estimated amount for money in there.
Are they in the budget for this year?
Well, that's a
They
different
are.
discussion, Jeff, we should.
Right.
I mean, can't wait for the.
So
last
those
part.
are in the budget, so it's not all of that you're saying that isn't. Okay. And then we are going to have less legal fees because the lawyers were doing more than the prior. So you did reduce the legal fees or no?
I reduced them to the $25,000 down to 125.
Okay. But we feel like it's going to be less than that. I thought we had said. And then we had talked about training every other year. We had said that Boone County, their clerk's office, has a $500 training budget. And we had talked about that we weren't cutting out training forever, that we were going to do it every other year.
Who are we to decide when someone needs?
And the laws change every year.
Exactly. Why would we do that? Why would we not just keep it? If we don't use it, then it rolls over for the next fiscal year.
So but Boone County doesn't, I mean, they're
We're
much
not
bigger
Boone
than we,
County.
they're much
We're
bigger than we
Poplar
are.
Grove.
We are much
Correct.
smaller. Why do we have a
Full
budget that's
staff.
5 times
How many
larger?
people went to IML last year? Karina, how many people went to IML last year? 3? So we had a
Betsy?
$12,000, $8,000,
Oh, yeah, Eric went.
$12,000 budget, and only 8 of it was used.
Okay, and so some went this year, so then next year, you know, we can send another group, because that's what we
I
had
saved you
talked about.
$26,000 since I've been here.
Okay, so those are the biggest items that everyone has concern on the budget,
I'm the village administrator.
which is going to be not a full year.
It's a part-time job. Wouldn't it be? It's only for up to possible 9 months.
Correct. So you won't spend all
Just
of
like the
that.
attorneys are possible for 9 months.
Correct.
Well, we've had a village president that sat here for 3 years, didn't say much, Betsy. You've been here for 2 years, didn't say much, and all of a sudden, we have a village president, wants to play village president, bring in an administrator, spend the taxpayers' money, do forensic audits, because he thinks people are stealing.
May I interject?
This is money of my money, your money, and everyone's money that lives here. We, like I said, no one's here in favor of it or against it. It's a waste of our money. We've been dormant for 3 years and prior years. Why all of a sudden now?
Because we need some controls.
We
We've
need
talked
a
about that.
leader is what we need. We don't have that. You're right.
Controls
Good
are being
answer.
followed.
We need a leader. We don't
Okay.
have that. Thank you, Mr. Saller, I'm done.
Okay.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I've been getting phone calls too, like the one lady was saying that this is chaos. And it's been expressed to me that if we had an administrator, we could cut that chaos out of here. Because the administrator would come in front of us and deal with department heads. It would be straightforward, cut and dry. This is the problems we got. This is what we need to deal with. Instead of us bickering about things, the administrator would take that out of our control and just give us data. But we never talked about $200,000 for that position either. You know what I'm saying? Because that was ridiculous.
Bruce, have you worked with an administrator before?
What's that?
Have you worked with an administrator before? I mean, the board's still
Yes, sir,
going
I've
to
had,
run.
I worked with the automotive industry for 38 years.
That's not government, though. But I mean, we're still going to have meetings.
I got it, I understand. But we need boots on the ground to find out exactly what is happening in our village. Is the money getting spent where it's supposed to be spent?
That's what those reports are. You
That's
get
what
every
we-
month.
I got you.
I need to interject here. Since I was elected, there was a big push to hire, you talked about an accountant. And there was an attempt to try to add a collector role. And that was argued about that we needed that at that time, and I was against that.
You were in favor of it. You were.
I'm on recording going against it, so you're up to your choice, beliefs. So we're going to add 2 positions to this village, and you're talking about efficiencies, and we need to get a central head, a village administrator, in order to be the forefront of all this. And in a typical village organizational structure, that's what the village administrator is for. And so it creates a system of checks and balances. Now, when you bring up all these other expenses that you want to bring up about, you need to replace this, you need to replace that, and all this fear mongering. It was brought up at the time when you were pushing the collector and everything else. I brought up that the south side of the village of Poplar Grove, Prairie Green subdivision, the Knolls of Boone, and Concord Crossing, there's only one water reservoir that supplies the water to that side of town. There's no backup redundant water source. There's 2 pumps drawing out of one reservoir 15 feet apart from each other. It's been discussed with engineering and drilling another well. That's $1 million plus budget, right, or budget item right there. You had no fear of that, of starving the people down there of water. It would cost more than that to connect the north part to the south part with water mains. You raised the elected official salaries 3 years ago. So that was well advertised, how you were going to improve everything by getting better elected officials by raising the salaries. That didn't occur.
Yeah, you proved that one.
And so, well, thank you very much for the compliment.
And I voted no.
Official, and then all the training and everything was blown on, all kinds of travel and food and conferences, which were not properly managed by and voted for by the village board. And the attorney and the village administrator, the past attorney, picked up lots and lots of the duties of the village administrator.
That's incorrect.
So the attorney was doubling as a village administrator
That's
also.
incorrect.
So that's why the village attorney was billing $140,000 or $150,000.
That's incorrect.
So if we,
That was your
so-
thousands
so
of
if we need to
emails
do
you
an
sent on a
audit-
monthly basis.
So if you need to do an audit of the duties that were done, were they strictly legal, or were they administrative / could be legal, or just administrative? Because our village attorney filled in for the clerk in her absence too. That's typically not the village attorney's role. So all these, all this,
One time, the attorney took no.
one time. You guys are bringing up, you're throwing all these numbers out, you got nothing to back it up for. The $200,000 for an administrator, you got no evidence of any of
The
that.
attorney recovered
Then
$40,000.
Don, why haven't you fixed the water problem? You're the village president. Why haven't you fixed that, all this stuff? Why haven't you done anything? All of a sudden, now you want to do something. Why haven't you fixed it?
call it
You're the
order.
village president.
Why haven't you fixed all these problems you're complaining
Why
about right
haven't I?
now? Come on, Jeff.
Come on, Don. I'm only one of 6. You're the man.
Yeah, you're the one that's saying that nothing's being done right. You got all the answers. Come on.
No, you do. You told me.
This is the joke that everybody talks about. You know,
The circus, Don.
it's the circus that you're creating.
Yes.
So,
Mr.
all right.
President,
Yes.
Order.
Yes, you may, Austin.
thank you. This is all politics. These are all politicians, part-time, trustees, part-time village president. They should not be running the day-to-day operations of the village, and they don't. They argue, they fight, and they bicker. That's why we need a village administrator. We had a village administrator. The last one that we had won awards for the budget that she presented and created for the village. During Mr. Costanza's term as village president, he did not want a village administrator. The former village attorney let me know that he wanted to have more power and control over.
That's incorrect, and that is
What was
absolute
absolutely
lie.
correct.
That's absolute
And that's
lie.
why that position was removed from the ordinances.
absolute lie.
And that's why we put it back in, so we can get some kind of order, a professional
absolute
running the
Absolute.
day-to-day operations of this village. And that's why we should appoint hire an administrator and try to do so at a reasonable cost.
Yeah, let's spend $100,000 or more.
Yes,
get to the
I think
issue.
it's probably time to call a question. So, all right. Roll call on the motion to discuss possible action on ordinance 2023 and ordinance appropriating for all corporate purposes Village of Poplar Grove. Those in favor of the ordinance?
It needs to be roll call.
It will be roll called.
If you went to IML, you'd understand that.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. I think after 3 years.
Roll call,
we have a
please.
message, too.
Dan Cheek,
No.
Austin Davies,
Yes.
Owen Costanza,
No.
Betsy Straw,
Yes.
Jeff Goings,
No, absolutely not.
Bruce Moore,
Yes.
Don Sattler.
Yes. If I was paying attention properly, it sounds like it passes. All right, moving on to item number 4, presentation by our auditors, Green. I have invited Jim Green, not Jim Green, Jim Edmonston from Green Forensics here to answer any questions per request by the village board. And he is here with some assistance. If you would be so kind to make a brief comment and take any questions that we have.
My name is James Edmonstone. I'm with Green Forensics, and this is Jim Scordo.
That one on?
Doesn't sound like it.
Maybe he's got to move it closer.
He's got green light.
He's got.
Just hold it closer.
Yeah.
A little closer.
Oh, hello. Is this
There
better?
we go.
There.
Oh, okay.
It's on.
There you
Good.
go.
Okay, my name is James Edmonstone. I'm a CPA. I'm with Green Forensics. And I brought with me James Scordo, who is the CFE. And we're basically here to answer your questions.
No results?
We're working on it right now, so we're
You
not here.
said 2 weeks.
We're here, we're going to make one more visit out here, and then we'll have a report on these two years that we've been working on.
Have you been doing any correspondence with President Saylor, out of curiosity,
Yes,
for our discussion at the meeting on that Monday?
we've been corresponding a little bit on
And you didn't
Where we
correspond with
are.
the whole board?
where we are in the process we're going through, but we haven't given him any results.
How come you didn't include the board, like I asked you to?
He's our contact.
He's your contact?
It's normally when we have a project, we have one contact.
Okay.
But
Also, as
we're
you
here to
had
answer your
contact
questions,
with-
so.
yeah, well, it's my question, why you didn't ask, do as I asked you to inform all of us. You haven't contacted any other board member?
No, and we haven't had any results. We've only asked for information.
You were there that day.
Yeah, and I asked him to contact us and the attorney, so it's more transparent that we all know what's going on instead of just you.
We're here.
Transparency is right here. You got the
Transparency, he didn't do
questions,
as I
yeah.
asked. He didn't do as, or he ain't gonna tell us nothing, he doesn't have any answers.
Well,
I asked, what'd
Are
you
you-
find?
Are you going to allow them to continue with the audit?
He said. He said. Why would he mean? Well, how am I gonna allow him to continue with the audit? What's going on? I have no say over that.
Are you through?
There you go, I'm too.
So do you have any comments about the audit, on what's going?
We'll tell you what we've done. So we came out here and spent an entire day, and we scanned in all of the credit card receipts, and then James has been going through, and for the 2 years that we've been talking about, up 3 years, he converted them to Excel, which is quite a process. And then we put in all the notes that we have done so far. We want to come back and go through some expense reports. And then we're going to take all of the documents and come up with our recommendations, our findings, and then we'll sit down and discuss it. That's what we're talking about.
That's for the 3 years in the original
Yes.
agreement?
Yes. That's the process.
Why do you want to broaden it to 7 years?
It was we wouldn't broaden it to 7 years. It would be your decision to broaden it if you felt that the findings we had, our recommendations would warrant forward.
Off the first initial 3
Right.
years.
And I believe that the proposal we gave was in the event, it was put in place, document in the event.
Where's our expenditure total at as of now?
We're going to give you an invoice tomorrow. It's, it needs to be redone that I just looked at. It's going to be about
Ballpark.
$6,000, 67.
6,000.
Yeah, it's by hours.
For this preliminary work that you've already
So
done.
what we've done today.
About 6,000.
Can you tell us exactly what you're looking for?
We're looking for compliance to the state laws, policies, procedures, things of that nature to make sure, and the board minutes, make sure if the expenditure was approved properly and the expenditure was made with approved budget, and also if the expenditures complied with laws that we the ordinance. Pretty straightforward.
Okay.
We do this for a lot of different municipalities. We finished a project slightly different from this for an airport out in Nevada, Arizona.
Are you a third party to Green?
Yes,
You are.
yes, I am. And Craig and I have worked together for 27 years.
So I just didn't know if you were a third party. We're not getting actual accounting firm. Thank you.
We're a forensic accounting firm, yes.
A third party.
Well, that's how.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions?
So you had mentioned that after you do your preliminary, after the 3 years, then you would make suggestions on moving forward.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be the time to redo the agreement letter? Instead of redoing it?
That is your decision.
And then if that time, instead of going forward, wouldn't you suggest that we contact the Illinois State Police if someone's frauding us and the Attorney General's office instead of wasting more taxpayer dollars and let the tax dollars that we already pay, let that take over and let them come in because the Attorney General would come in and throw an audit at us and they would come through and do our books? If there was any fraud, crime, or anything like that, isn't that the route that we should go instead of keep paying you guys?
I can tell you it depends. We do a lot of work, and we do it in conjunction with law enforcement. Sometimes the project we just finished was in conjunction with law enforcement. Law enforcement wanted our report to basically go arrest the suspect. They were looking for, so we were the ones who quantified the bill. The authority had the concerns. We worked with the authority, identified them. Jim did a lot of work on this. And when we were done, we wrote our report, and then the detectives used the report.
So you reached out to the authorities or the
We were hired by we were hired by the authority
airport?
after they had engaged law enforcement.
Okay. After they engaged them.
Yes. But it completely varies because we work all over the country.
Because the accusations that are being made that there's fraud, misuse, and spending, I'm surprised that our village president didn't go to Illinois State Police and the Attorney General's office instead of spending taxpayers' money, because we paid them as well. I'm just surprised. I just wanted to point that out.
Sure.
He
Any more
did his
questions?
own audit, remember?
Is there anything else again?
No, you said you were going to present some information though tomorrow? Is that what you said
I
earlier?
will present information when we have a draft.
Do we have a time frame? You said
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3
2 to
more
3
weeks?
And that will be for all of us. Be a part of that. Okay.
They'll have to come back to it. Do you usually do it in public forum, or do you do it closed session?
It depends on the,
Severity of it?
on the finding.
Findings, exit
Yes.
findings.
And that would be your decision. Probably.
How are we gonna be informed of that? Are you gonna reach out to Mr. Souter, and then he's supposed to reach out to us? Or what if you have something that you feel you reach out to the attorneys? I've never had to go through this, so I'm curious.
We generally work through one person, but we can reach out to the village clerk.
The clerk or the attorney?
Well, we made a proposal to the village clerk. We can reach out to the attorney.
But there's been
We'll-
accusations.
We'll follow the instructions you give us. Because you as a whole are.
So should we give him direction that he should deal with our attorney? Is that the consensus of the board?
Don't you think?
It makes sense.
It makes sense to me. From going forward from this point on, he communicates with Carrie. Carrie Lynn.
Carrie Lynn, yeah.
Ansel and Klink. So there's no more communication with Mr. Seller. If Mr. Seller reaches out to you, you forward it to our village attorney. She'll handle it. I think that's fair. That's called transparency.
Well, ultimately, I mean, my understanding would be, usually what happens is if there's an audit, the auditors present their reports and their findings to the board. If they need day-to-day information, they would need to get that
From Karina.
directly from the village. So, I mean, they might have to communicate with other people other than just.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he needs, any information he needs is gonna come from Karina.
We'll set up our appointment.
It's all through Karina. She's our treasurer.
But we're talking about his findings.
Oh, his
Should-
findings?
His
Well, yeah,
findings should go
to the attorney,
yes.
and then she can reach out to us.
Well, right, they should go on they should come to the board. also.
Right.
What we're going to give you is a draft report. We're not going to give
You're gonna give us a
you
draft
a
report
draft report of where we are.
of where you are.
Right.
It's hard to hear. This is running back here, I don't know.
Okay.
It's hard to hear you, and I don't know if the people behind you can hear you. So, I'm sorry, I just wanna make sure everyone can hear.
And when you say draft report, what does that mean?
It's not finalized. It says draft on it, and it's for discussion.
And what discussion would be had?
Well, sometimes sometimes when we do these types of reports, we're going to come back with our take on how we see things. And in some cases, you're going to have to give us some feedback whether a particular item was authorized or unauthorized, because we're going to give you our opinion of it. But there are some times that we can't actually put down on a particular transaction whether you believe it was authorized or not. I mean,
I have one more question. So,
Sure.
It's been said that things were authorized, usually if the expenditure happens earlier, and then, there's a lump sum that is authorized in the meeting minutes, if there's no line item details. Is that, you're saying you're looking for items that should have been line items? I'm trying to, validate that, because you could say everything was approved.
Well,
After
for
the
example,
fact.
right, and sometimes, some of the issues that we have been asked to look at were whether a particular transaction was authorized. In some cases, we've been asked to look to see whether or not transactions comply with the village ordinances, for example, state law. And we'll go back and we'll look at that, and then we'll give you our take on whether it did or not.
Okay.
Based on, but we're not attorneys, but we'll give you our take on it based upon what we see in our experience.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
I have one other one. Okay, so we talked about the misappropriation or the good times in Chicago and stuff like that. Is that something you interviewed, the training and how long it went on and what money was spent on? Is that part of the audit?
Some of the
So that way we
questions,
can clear that up, that,
some of the questions we've been asked, whether if it was a meeting that was for 4 days and there were expenses submitted for, say, 5 or 6 days. So we would come back and we would identify that there were 2 extra days of expenditures. You
On
as
the
the
village's dollar.
right, then you as the client would say that was allowed or not allowed.
Right.
We're not the final decision maker.
Right.
We'll identify that it happened.
How many days is that in, no? Thursday, Friday,
I just wanted that because training is important. Very
This is,
important.
yeah, and some of the audits we do are different. For example, you might have a village employee or an employee who goes out and takes the credit card for the
Yeah, I've been to the
municipality
audits.
and goes to Home Depot and runs their business off of it. We do those type of, but that's not generally what we've been asked to do here.
Good.
But that's another take on what we see.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great time. Item number 5, there's an engagement.
Thank you very much.
There's an engagement letter that I had sent you guys that I got from Jim here upon the board's request to clarify a few things. We wrote. Into it a number 5. And, yes. If you would like to, you don't have to. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So in number 5, Don,
Yes. Should
They already
we get a
got-
should we get a copy of that we're going to be discussing?
they,
You sent it to everybody, right?
Yes.
I can just quickly go through what the highlights of the changes were, because you did approve one at your previous meeting.
was this in the packet?
This was, yeah, we received
So
it
then we
afterwards.
can't take action on
I
it.
mailed it to you yesterday.
But, whoa,
and I
wait,
mailed it to
public,
the clerk.
Monday,
Yeah, would that be a normal violation, seeing as it wasn't in the packet? And
for the public to
public didn't
read?
get 48-hour notice on it?
No, you're just required to post an agenda 48 hours in advance of the meeting. You're not required to post a board packet or anything like that.
Okay.
So there were a couple of changes from what was previously approved, and part of the confusion was whether or not the fiscal year versus the calendar year was being audited. So what their clarification says is basically 4 things. 1, they're going to do a forensic audit for credit card records and invoices for the annual calendar years 2017 to 2023. 2, they're going to do, so what they're adding is a preliminary forensic audit of credit card records for 22 and 23. That was what was not in the previous one. And then they are going to come forth and provide the board with the preliminary report, and then the board can determine if there's additional audits required for the 2023 and 24 years. And then they are also going to come forward with recommendations about appropriate methods and controls and audits. So it was just kind of to clarify the previous proposal, that it's the calendar years, not the fiscal years, to expand it for 22 and 23. So that was really what the
I thought that was the original agreement, was 22 and 23.
Well, the problem was it wasn't worded that way on the agenda. The agenda for the last meeting didn't have the right years on it. So that's why we thought, well, we should just come back and just be very transparent about that's what was going to be accomplished.
And then it dropped back to 17 on that agreement letter?
It clarifies so what was on the agenda before was like 2017 to 2020.
Fiscal year 19, 20, 21, and 22, which would be annual years 18, 19, 20, and 21.
So this adds 17 and 23.
17 and
22.
23 and 22.
Okay, and it clarifies that it's the calendar year, not the fiscal year. That's why, there's some overlap between the fiscal year and the calendar year. That's why, yeah.
And that's what I've been repeating in all these meetings. What was voted on, not precisely this.
So basically, it's for clarification.
Yes.
So this was the original request that you wanted, correct?
Just worded them properly. Is that what you're saying, Council?
Right. So you would just need the motion to adopt the amended agreement.
So basically, no changes, it was just improper wording.
Just,
Proper language.
yes, sir.
Clear.
And like he said, they're going to come back with a preliminary proposal, about $6,000, he said, and it's going to be for the first 2 years. And then the board gets to review that and make any decisions on what they feel.
So you need a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
So I make a motion to amend the action, to accept the amended agreement with the auditors?
Great, yes.
I would second that.
Motion by Betsy. Second by Austin. Already had a discussion. Is there any final comments or discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Owen Costanza,
No.
Dan Cheek,
No.
Austin Davies.
Yes.
Bruce Moore,
Yes.
Betsy Straw,
Yes.
Jeff Goings.
As I voted originally for no against the forensic audit, I'm gonna vote
I vote yes.
no. There you go.
Business item number 5, amended language to the forensics audit is accepted. Moving on to unfinished business. Item number 6, we got a motion to discuss and approve possible action regarding next steps related to BS&A software upgrade.
Move to discuss next steps for BS&A. Are we gonna take action too, or we're just gonna discuss?
I think it was going to be just discussed, because there's a lot of questions.
Possible action.
It says action on it.
Does it?
Well, I think that it was a discussion about the next steps, so we don't, depending on what the next steps are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to clarify, so motion to discuss
Motion
the
by
next
Owen.
steps.
Second by Jeff.
Second by Jeff. Right, a lot of discussion about the requirements. Incremental grades. Do you have any more details? Betsy, did you have any more to add?
My thought is that, we do the sewer plant first, and this can, wait.
Makes sense.
Or we should-
Which one's worse? Which one needs more attention?
I'm just saying we're gonna start with self. I don't know.
I mean, we can certainly discuss it next year.
Now we wanna move it to next year.
I mean, were you saying you're just losing the ability for support?
No, need something for building code.
Yeah. But I mean, we're losing the old system, because we run off server, right?
The system we have now is a base, the new system is cloud,
Yeah.
so it's safer, backup, et cetera. But the main reason that we're looking to extend the budget by 3 years is because we do all my spreadsheets.
Question, Karina, what was the cost of just going to cloud? I forgot what the gentleman said. Do you remember?
What we can do,
Just to upgrade our
if
security.
we were to sign the agreement, do the upgrade, push things so that even though we approve everything now, do the last upgrade next fiscal year. Say this, we'll push 38,000.
We were looking around
That way
80.
you're still locking into current prices.
And what would the current
83
year be?
something?
I'm sorry?
What would the cost be for this year?
Well, the total price is 80,000. If you pay 38,
It'll be like 40 something, 42. That would give us more security on our BSNA now and take us off the server. Put us in the cloud. So we'd be more secure. And then that we can access 24/7, 365. If our servers burn out, go down, we could be screwed on all of our implementation of our accounting and things like that. Water billing. So this is like something I feel we need. There are a lot of, there's fires within the village, so we have to pick and choose what we can do and what we can afford. My thought is, to do like you said, get us in the cloud, we're secure. That way, if anything goes down, we still have running capability. Our system is going up, every technology is growing like crazy. We're doing 2 Microsoft facilities right now, one in Hoffman Estates and one in Oak Grove.
Done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, I was asking Don.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The module for the building permits, I mean, if it's any complaint that we hear the most, I mean, we're tracking the building permits on a spreadsheet. And what better way to track a property? They have the violations, they have all the permits and everything all in one spot. I mean, I think we really need that module as well.
Then they eliminate, they get through file.
Yes, yeah, I mean, we have a pin file for every pin in the village. We have an actual file paper folder for each. It's not on the computer. They keep a spreadsheet, so we call up, hey, you know, John Smith called about his permit. Oh, yeah, it was submitted this date. Imagine the efficiency of having being able to look it up.
Trying to bring the village more to the.
Mr. President.
Yes, Austin.
I think it's remarkable that some of the trustees want to spend $83,000 on this program that we don't need. We were told by the software people that we don't need. It's a slight upgrade, but it's basically just moving the software to the cloud instead of having it on the computer here only.
Server.
There'll be much more efficiency from village administrator, for example, than spending $83,000 just to move this to the cloud so it can be accessed anywhere. It has a few more features and redundancies. This is exactly something that we should have a village administrator look at once we hire one.
I agree. They'd be capable of doing cost analysis on all these items.
We have a very talented
Since we're
staff in
facing,
there that does all this.
Since we're facing upgrades in our sewer plants, we're facing upgrades to our water distribution system and also our accounting system. So I think it would be a couple of great things that a village administrator could evaluate, analyze, do cost analysis.
Can we bring a little
Boards are
clarification
qualified to do
real
it.
quick, please?
That's what you were just saying, put it off a year and prioritize the sewer before, is that what you said? Which I'm not opposed to. I mean, I think the sewer is a bigger issue than pushing this back a year.
I gotta ask you, we just spent how much on our public works building? 2 point what million?
We're overseeing it, weren't you? You're the village president, how much did we spend?
You're the finance chair, how much did we spend?
A lot. You don't
Yeah,
know the
a
answer?
lot.
I know the answer.
How about that, Jeff?
How about that, Don? It's all in front of you.
You're the finance chair, it's right in front of you.
How much did we spend, Don? Come on, Karina, you said we
Okay,
could push
so-
off till next year.
Jeff?
Real quick, let me just have her clarify this because I think Austin made a misstatement.
Okay.
It's not $83,000 to put us in the cloud. It's half of that. She just said that, but some people didn't catch it. What we're doing is trying to make it safer so that if our servers do burn out, we can recover all the information that we do have for water billing. Imagine if we had to start from scratch on water billing to do the 1,500 accounts manually. But I'm just saying, if she says we can wait, we can wait. Because I would like to see the SCADA system updated first, before we purchase a village administrator.
We just spent $2 million on a public works
Yes.
building. And it wasn't
2.1.
priority of yours, Mr. Finance Chairman, until now.
Priority of what?
Where were your priorities when you spent $2 million on a public works building?
My priorities, well, when COVID hit, it doubled down. Didn't we get a big explanation about why it went over budget and why everything, because of
Things
material
go over
costs?
budget, yes.
Material costs, so
And
what
now
do
where
we
are
do?
we at?
We do the foundation and then we stop for 5 years? Is that what we should have done, Mr. Sattler?
And where are we now
Where
because
are
of
we?
those unforeseen circumstances?
Oh,
Mr.
now you want to use that. Is that for your next
All
election?
right, I've said my piece.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
All right,
Please.
so, doesn't sound like we want to take too much action on this until after we are through evaluating our upgrades to our sewer plant.
So no.
I don't believe so.
You okay, Karina, with that? Anything you'd like to say?
On my side is building and code this. And in order to, in building and code, have to be on the cloud.
We've been asking for 5
I
years
know.
for this.
And Don, I just became finance chair, what, 3 months ago? 3 months, 3 months ago?
All right, do we get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Wait, you have to specify to discuss personnel.
We're gonna take a vote.
We got a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1 personnel the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, and 5 ILCS 20/C3, the section of a person to fill public office, interview candidate for village administrator.
I have a question before we go into
We got a
executive
motion
session.
by Austin
Second.
and a second by Betsy.
I have a question for the attorney.
We are moving into executive session.
I have a question for the attorney.
Do we, okay.
Wait, all right, here's a question, we need discussion on the pending motion.
Okay.
We need a vote.
All right, we open discussion with Jeff's comment.
Number 6, motion to discuss and possible action regarding next steps related to BS&A software. Why are we not doing a consensus or a vote?
You guys did a motion to discuss, and then you had a discussion, and there wasn't a further motion. Yeah, so that can come back, and that can come back before the board when there's action.
There you go, Trina.
Vote on.
Okay.
So nobody wants to compromise.
Roll call on the motion to go into executive session.
Jeff Goings.
No.
Bruce Moore.
Yes.
Betsy Straw.
Yes.
Austin Davies.
Yes.
Dan Cheek.
Yes.
Owen Costanza.
No.
All right, we got 4 votes to go into executive session. We're moving into executive session at 8:28 then. The open meeting.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. We appreciate it. We actually hold a closed session in this room, so unfortunately, we're going to have to ask you to vacate. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your support. Yes, we will come back into session, and then I guess they're going to hire a village administrator. I don't know. So, possible action.
It's not been voted on, man.
No transparency, you're not going out.